And welcome back to another week at Beyond the Trailer Park. It's hot and steamy down here in Canada, or up here, depending on where you are. I'm down from our guest, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, of course, joining me as always this week is my original co-host, Miss Beth. How you doing?
Howdy, howdy.
Yay, she's all purple this thing.
Yeah. Purple and blue. They match so well.
Purple people eater.
Yeah.
She's purple people eater, but only if you're a right-wing nut job, right? Something like that. I know, I did. And giggling over in the hot and steamy depths of Savannah, we have Miss Ashley.
Hey, y'all.
And she's thankfully not in the dark, but without water this week. Because, you know, it's not a broadcast night unless Savannah gets hit by a storm, so, you know.
That's right.
So
like it was. I'm supposed to go on.
It was what, the water pump got hit by lightning or some shit?
Yes, our city water pump got hit by lightning, and they're trying to figure out a temporary fix because the whole town is without water right now.
Fantastic. So,
yes.
Well, at least Sagan and PETA can drink out of the toilet.
Maybe not.
Oh, no. Oopsie.
I wouldn't exactly advise it right now.
Well, so there's a puddle. There's a puddle in the yard, I hear. We'll go with that.
Yes.
Be careful.
Awesome. So those of you who may have watched me on Holy Crap, which I do Sunday mornings at midnight 05, might be familiar with our first guest this week, which is our friend Joseph, all the way from Paris, France.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Joseph was kind enough to get up at 3:30 in the morning just to hang out with us.
I made it.
You did! That's awesome. Thank you.
Gotta give you credit there, Joseph.
Yeah.
And look at how bright and cheerful he looks.
I know, he's like...
I know, he looks like he's been up he's already been up, had coffee, and had breakfast, and he's ready to start his day.
I did all that in the last probably 8 minutes. So.
Well, because when we do Holy Crap, he gets up at 5:30 in the morning, so, you know, he's sort of used to it.
The hardest part is deciding to do it, so.
I mean, he's even got the mustache curved and everything.
Yeah, I noticed that, too.
Yeah, I told him he just needs a beret and a baguette, and he's all good. But he says he's on a diet and he can't have a baguette, so I don't know.
No, unless somebody has invented no-carb bread, but...
Well, you could get a large sausage.
It's called cardboard, Joseph.
No, I said get a large sausage and go with that. Yeah, well, anyway.
Well, I could tell you, normally on my diet, I was actually eating sausage, and I thought I was doing the right thing until I read the ingredients, and I found out that they put loads of sugar into the thing. So I was basically just killing my diet.
Uh-oh, so no sausage either. All right. So somebody come up with a sugar-free, no-carb baguette type item for Joseph, and we'll be all good.
Just send me a pig.
Hey, there you go. Voici le cochon. So, and as I said, our guest this evening is actually above me, so I am actually down, southerner to him. Welcome, Eric Thomas, the president of Humanist Canada.
Hi, welcome.
All the way from the Ottawa area.
Somewhere near there, yes.
Yes.
Not quite the middle of Pennsylvania. And I think Miss Ashley should just move to Canada. Give up on it. Just come here.
Yeah.
Hey,
She,
I would, but
she,
apparently I'm deeply needed down here in South Georgia.
By whom? You can come here, you know. I'll bring them all. We have a big country and lots of
we do, you know.
we do.
The only problem is Miss Ashley has issues with not being able to wear her flip-flops.
Yes.
Oh, that could be a problem.
She gets cranky if she can't wear her flip-flops, and there's at least 6 months out of the year where I wouldn't advise that,
Ooh,
especially
yeah.
in Ottawa.
Don't wanna
Just
do that.
Ashley, just so you know, Ottawa is 5.5 to 6 hours north of me.
No, ain't happening. Sorry.
The snow left last week. What do you mean? It was nice.
Yeah.
The snow left last week. It's coming back next week.
Deborah told me I have a window to get to Canada, and it's last about 3 weeks. And if
Yeah.
I don't get there within those 3 weeks, I'm pretty much screwed till the following year.
And that started probably today. It got up to 28 Celsius today, which, you know, so the window is opening like now.
I might
Yeah, you
need to
gotta-
get up there away from this humidity.
I was going to try and sell you on the fact that we have outdoor plumbing that works.
There you
Solve
go.
a hole in the ground.
Hole in the ground, yeah.
How does an outhouse break down? I mean, jeez.
Exactly. It's bulletproof. It's bulletproof. It's like being an atheist. You're all good to go.
Awesome.
Well,
So,
thank you very much for having me. This is exciting.
oh, you're welcome. We're glad to have you as well.
Deborah, you neglected to say that I'm originally from London, Ontario.
Ontario. Yes. So Ashley and Beth, you're kind of outnumbered by the Canucks right now. Sorry.
Well, it's the
Because
invasion of the
no.
Canadian. I feel like what was it? The War of 1812.
Yeah, that's when we burned your White House down. We still like to talk about that, just so you know.
Refresh my memory. Who came first and who came second? I can't remember.
I don't know. I
don't
just
know. Yeah.
I think we were here first, but yeah. Well, the British anyway. Something
Close
like
enough.
that. Yep.
I'm
So,
gonna be an ass and say neither of us were here first.
well, we know that. It was at least the Vikings. Possibly others before them, we're not sure. But you know, the Vikings, they landed in Newfoundland and they kind of became the first Newfies. So I don't know if that's quite to their credit or not.
That's where they got the helmets.
Hey, there we go. That's right. So before we get on to what Eric's all about, Joseph is actually joining us for a specific reason, because last night I was putting together the creation moment for today, and I wanted to find a screenshot of something ridiculous being said by a religious person. So I went to Ray Comfort's page, of course, and I found a posting there where Ray Comfort was talking about his upcoming movie called Audacity, which he claims is not really anti-gay, but it's certainly not in favor of LGBT, but he posted a bunch of stuff about YouTube having taken down his trailer for his movie and blah, blah, blah. And I just posted it because I thought it was funny, but Joseph, he saw it, and he put on his Inspector Clouseau hat and went to town on it. So you want to tell us what you found?
Yeah, it's more my pointy geek hat.
Well, okay.
It's got a Linux logo on it. Yeah, well, just the claim that YouTube took something down because of censorship. But well, I just kind of, I'm kind of OCD, so I kind of wanted to find out. Okay, so why did they take that video down? Because they don't do that without any reason. And I had a look at his Living Waters webpage, and I didn't see the video or anything. So there's a thing that I use a lot for clients. and it's useful in general. It's at archive.org. It's called the Wayback Machine.
Oh,
And
yes.
basically, you can look at any website at any point in time in the past, of course. It'd be useful if you could see into the future, but
Wouldn't it, though?
yeah.
You could find out what new porn there is before it actually happens.
But I had a look at his Living Waters YouTube page to see what they had archived from it, and I saw that the video was there around the 5th of June. So from there, I got a link to the original video. Actually, I'm sorry. That wasn't the original video. That was the video they had replaced the removed video with.
Okay.
And it was on his Living Waters website. So I had a look at that. And then through that, I managed to find the original video, which had at the end of it this big banner. It said free viewing, which of course was not a true claim because the video cost $20 or $19.99 to download. So they were making a false claim. So YouTube they were justified in their removal. So what he had done is temporarily upload a replacement video without that banner, and then later when he made his persecution announcement, he removed it. He removed the replacement one. He actually hid it. He unlisted it, which means it's unfindable on YouTube. But the video is still there. If you got the link to it, you could see it. So anyways.
So you managed to find the link somewhere, and that's how you found it?
The original video that had been removed from YouTube, he had uploaded it to Facebook as well. And that wasn't really rocket science because all I did was just take the title of the removed video and do a search for it, and it turned up on Facebook. So that's how I could see the false claim video, and yeah. But him removing the trailer from his webpage, only he could do that, and especially the hiding part, only he could do that. So
in other words, he's trying to make it look like he's being persecuted when really he was a dumbass and actually made a false claim at the end of his video.
Yeah.
Nice. I noticed though, like, because you went and posted all your findings over on his original thread, right?
Yeah.
And it was still there as of like 3 or 4 hours ago when I looked.
I haven't checked. Maybe I was expecting that to be gone, like minutes.
Yeah. No, I looked like 3 or 4 hours ago and it was still there.
Mhm. Okay.
Of course, the comments below, that they weren't even directed at you, they were just directed at the original post, were your typical hilarity that ensues with that kind of thing, It's like,
yeah.
They're gonna come for our Bibles next,
Yeah, I think it was because there's so many comments in there, and they appear. I think it's just lost in the rabble,
No, that's good though, because maybe somebody will find it.
Yeah, eventually, but I mean, whatever. We're talking about it here.
Or have it
so
sent
that's
to
good.
them.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, look, Ashley's multiplied.
Computer issue.
Bill.
More equipment issues in Savannah, I see.
Yes. And now there's 2 of me. Y'all just can't get enough of me tonight.
Which one of you?
It.
Which one of you is the evil one?
I'm not telling.
One of you should have a goatee, no?
I was gonna say she's got to have the goatee to be in the alternate universe and all of that, and she's got to have an asymmetrical mini skirt on as well.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
I made the other one
there
mad.
she goes.
The other one's back in the outhouse.
Yeah, there we go.
No, the other one's
Awesome.
out backing up the outhouse.
Ooh. Yikes. Well, thanks for that, Joseph. That's certainly they always think they can get away with this shit. So it's always nice when somebody kind of goes, "Hey, what the hell is that?"
Well, it's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
I was asking Joseph before the show. I was actually getting ready to do a post sometime in the next 24 hours concerning the actors in the movie. And
Mhm.
um, for those unaware, Hemet Mita from Friendly Atheist did a post concerning. He titled it "The Stars of Ray Comfort's new anti-gay film Audacity are really pro-LGBT rights." So of course that's gonna pique my interest. And a lot of people were asking why are pro-LGBT actors doing a movie, and basically what it boils down to is these guys are actors. If they don't act, they don't eat. But that
Yeah.
is Hammett said, you can't take you can't take that away from the from them, that they have to work, and
Yeah.
just because this film does not you know conform to their personal stance, not to hold it against them.
Yeah.
And then when you posted what you did about Ray Comfort, I was like, well, I wonder if Ray Comfort, found this out, and he was like, oh, blah blah blah. And he had, Hammett had actually contacted him, and he released a statement. Where'd it go?
Yeah, he basically said that they realized that if you have shitty actors, it's going to detract from your movie. So they were really only caring that they were good actors, and
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
and
absolutely sure that it was the interviews were posted. They were cut like out of context and all that. I'm sure there's a lot
Mhm.
missing.
yeah, it's just because when you post it, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's why he pulled it. But it's interesting because you had sent me the file that Joseph had wrote up about his findings, and it just makes me wonder, because it's like, okay, because I had posted earlier today about Charisma News, it's an online magazine, and they had posted, and basically is, okay, Comfort's obviously lying about the faux persecution thing, and I can
Yeah.
guarantee you Todd Starnes is going to be all over this probably by tomorrow.
Mhm.
And which one of my quote series, so to speak, is why does Todd lie? Because pretty much everything out of that man's mouth is a lie, or very hyperbolic and twisted. Well, the other day, last week, right after the Supreme Court ruling, and it coincided with the Pride events, they posted a story that Todd Starnes wrote. Well, their headline made it appear that this incident happened at this year's Seattle Pride Parade. When, after doing a little bit of digging, it was actually the 2013 Pride Parade. And what it was is two street preachers were attacked and they were bloodied, and I don't agree with it. I abhor violence of any kind. But I sent it to Charisma. I posted it on their site. I said, why are you fucking lying about this? Why say you did this when in actuality you did that? I mean, I just don't get it. They're
Mhm.
supposedly Christian, but they're lying through their fucking teeth.
Because it's okay when you're lying for Jesus.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to.
Mm,
Yep.
yeah,
Unreal.
anything goes for our clan.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
and this is will tie into something else, hopefully happening, is that one of the commenters on the article said, my question is, why has Charisma never had an article or even mentioned the hundreds of thousands of beatings to LGBT individuals, which I post almost on a daily basis? They don't talk about any of the transgenders, deaths, etc. And another comment had kind of added on, have you ever read about atheists who are imprisoned in Islamic countries? And they specifically mentioned Raif Badawi.
Mhm.
And I don't think Charisma's even acknowledged that it's even going on.
Ish. Unreal.
Like you said, liars for Jesus.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a thought that occurred to me. How do you tie audacity lie to current paradigm? How do you make that connection, JF? It sounds like you hit the nail on the head with the lie. How do we make that obvious in the public realm? And this is just another lie to Jesus exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so that'll be another one to add to my list. Thank you, Joseph.
Awesome. Well, Joseph, feel free to hang around for the show, or if you need to catch some Z's, we understand that too, because it is like close to 4 o'clock in the morning over there. So.
Well, I'm awake now, so. You know.
All right. Well, hang out then. It's like that commercial. Martha, are you up? I'm up now. That was a Sucrets commercial, I think, from the 80s, but, you know, kind of dating myself a little bit, but, you know.
That
So,
was before my
Eric.
time.
Yes, I know, Miss Ashley. She's the spring chicken of the show, aren't you?
Well, I don't know
Maybe
about
she is a country
spring.
girl. A country girl wannabe, I can tell.
I am a country girl. There's no denying that.
With an accent like
Yeah.
that.
I went on their show and they made me listen to a song about loving Jesus. It was horrific.
Oh,
She loves me like Jesus does.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
Say she was, she dead?
Hey, I will admit it involved loving her like Jesus, or loving him like Jesus does, but it involved liquor, driving a truck really, really fast while you're drunk.
And then drinking in the truck on a runway, I believe, wasn't it?
Yes, it was on a runway as well.
Yeah, which is also highly illegal.
Shortcut to heaven.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like Jesus take the wheel?
I think, yeah. You know, you park the truck right near the plane and you'll be good to go. Literally.
And then tell Jesus to take the wheel.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is just way too much fun.
Oh, it gets worse.
Oh dear.
I'm going to start with two courses of Oh Sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
so
getting.
Eric, what's that, Joseph?
No, I was just saying, you know, giving the wheel to Jesus is kind of like getting Stevie Wonder to drive for you.
Probably
Pretty
be
much.
safer.
Thank you.
I mean, Jesus, I don't think he even drove the donkey by himself, did he? He had someone drove the ass for him, I think. Oh. So, Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Were you religious, and if so, how did you figure yourself out of that, and how did you become an activist type person and all that fun stuff?
Well, I'll go through that with you for a moment. Not all that entertaining. It's a bit unique. It's a bit unique, I suppose, in that we were neither raving atheists nor raving religious folks. I grew up with a couple of side trips to evangelical stuff, which was, I think, just delusions of hormonal types as a teenager. But my family grew up as Anglican in England. And came across to Canada, and were probably what much like the Americans are calling the nuns. They just didn't give a rat's ass. My mother was a very strong woman, and she took tremendous offense when my older brother, about 10, 11 months older than me, passed away at the age of 5, so I was 4. And the religious folks absolutely trashed my mother and her opinion, and told her that he was on to better places and gone to see Jesus, etc.
Oh, lovely.
And that, needless to say, turned my mother, if she wasn't a raving atheist before, she certainly became one afterwards. There was no empathy there whatsoever. And I think it made her realize that teaching her children to be religious people was a very bad thing. She was also a very pragmatic and practical person, not so much an anti or an atheist, but more of a realist. I would
Mhm.
call her a realist, as in, don't give a rat's ass to the lies.
Yeah.
Prove your stuff. She was fine. She's a very strong lady, and led her children to believe in themselves and each other, believe in the family, and not somebody in some delusional realm somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's the short history of the background. So for most of my adult life, it really didn't matter to me. I really didn't think
Right.
about it. In the last 10 years, I guess, since I've become a little bit more participative with our movement, if you want to call it that,
Mhm.
I realized that all the stuff I did in the 20 or 30 years before, or between those two events, I was in being grown up and where I am today, which is probably as long as Miss Ashley has been around. But in those years, it really just didn't matter to me. I was a good person. I did good things, somewhat altruistic on occasion. Didn't get in a whole whack of trouble. Didn't necessarily drink beer or hard liquor on runways. Okay, maybe I did, but
You
certainly
didn't drag race your pickup truck or anything.
well, as a matter of fact, I did, and there might have been uh, alcohol involved. Okay, there was alcohol involved. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that in all those middle years, it really just didn't matter to me. Much more of a
Yeah.
corporate type guy. I'm
Mhm.
reasonably new to the humanist movement. As a matter of fact, I joined my first group probably 10 years ago,
Yep.
so it's somewhat lay fairly low for a few years while I got to know things and learn a lot of things. So really, the active participant leadership type stuff for me is only, I would say, 5 to 7 years. So
Okay.
when you think about my tender age, um, that's not a lifelong
Yeah.
thing for me. So what happened in the middle was corporate stuff, and
Yeah.
one of the things that I bring to the table is some corporate leadership. I've been on some major chair or board of directors, Procter and Gamble, for instance, Sony here in Canada, Noma, another large company here in Canada,
Yep.
and a whole bunch of smaller companies, but certainly some of the Fortune 500 boardroom type stuff is where I spent a number of years. But the difference is that I bring a practical, get it done kind of reality to the table. Instead of having a lot of conversation, I tend to be more the get it done guy. And certainly for
So
humans,
so you're better at herding cats than the average person then.
very much so. Yeah, and
Excellent.
there's a lot of union negotiating going on. I've done that in multiple stints in my life, sat at the
Mhm.
bargaining table, and I have literally taken the bat out of a picket line. Uh,
Yep.
so I know how to do the tough stuff, but I also know how to negotiate and get people sitting around a corporate table that are trying to do multi-million-dollar software installations that are fucked up for the 29th time. How to get it straightened out and make it work.
Yep.
So that,
Yep.
and
Wow.
it's always been in logistics, transportation, trucking, warehouses, factories, very down to earth,
Mhm.
practical sort of environments, and sometimes hundreds of people, sometimes me and the dog. So the reality is different. And when I talk to humanists, they use your expression about herding cats.
Yes.
So Humanist Canada had been in an environment where they'd been herding the cats for a lot of years, and the cats were getting away. Uh,
Yep.
so the ends were being tied together. So they decided that maybe somebody with my kind of energy could come to the table and put some practical results into place.
Yep.
And apparently today is a 1 year anniversary, and I'm
Yeah.
very, very proud of what Humanist Canada has done in the last year. We're starting to see some exponential, I think that's the word, yes, exponential
Yes.
activity. I talked about the phone that was attached to my ass ringing a year ago that rang
Yes.
once every 2 or 3 weeks. Now it rings 2 or 3 times a day. It's just absolutely
That's
incredible, the
amazing.
level of activity. Our biggest challenge now is how do we handle this level of intensity? How do we
Mhm.
handle this level of participation? Uh,
Yep.
the corporate guy in me has drawn an Excel graph on a board 100 times in the last year that says this is the uptick in humanism. And
Yep.
a year ago, people said, yeah, he's just being optimistic. But it's a reality. We're seeing it in things like today. Like I'm sitting here
Yep.
with you folks. We wouldn't have done that a year ago. We wouldn't
No.
even have wanted to have a frickin' president of Humanist Canada. Really, he's going to sit and talk to us cowboys? Really? Come
Well,
on.
To put it in perspective, Beth and I started doing this in, I think it was November. And I, like you talk about not really worrying about religion or any of that shit, as a younger person. I mean, I've been an atheist since I was 17 years old, and the bulk of that time I spent that not giving a shit, because where we live, we don't have to. That's a luxury that's afforded us up here. And I was quite complacent and happy to live in my little bubble, and I never hid that I was an atheist, but it was never an issue either. It wasn't a thing. And so I have only been kind of active for not even, it will be, I'm not sure of the exact date, but I joined Twitter a year ago, July, so sometime soonish. And that's when I started meeting other podcasters and such, and here we are.
Well, it is, but I think the other thing that happens is that for me, in those interim years, I'm thinking like from 20 to 50. Don't do the math, actually, Miss Act, don't do the math. So between 20 and 50, I just didn't care. And as a somewhat gregarious, positive sort of egotist, it didn't matter because it was me. So you want to screw with me? Go ahead. I can stand up on my own 2 feet, and it doesn't matter. But one of the things that happened, and it's not a getting older thing. It's a having a family thing for me. I absolutely could not stand in the room with my children and say to them, there's a God. Just shut up and do as you're told. Everything's going to be really cool. Can't do that. I can't do it. I couldn't do it. And my children realize that. And when I say to them, stand up and be a person, they know I'm serious. There's no crutch. There's no crutch. It's about, for instance, tonight it's about us.
Yeah.
The Heretic Woman, Miss Bethany, JM, Ashley, it's about us. That's it. That's all there is. There's nobody else. So we have to do this. I think I wrote, I'm so poetic, we have to carry the mantle of responsibility because nobody else is going to. And the shit that you guys thought we were doing just because we wanted to a year ago, that's a leadership position today. Those are leadership initiatives that what you're doing now. If it was entertainment a year ago, now there's people listening. There's people watching what you're doing, and it's incumbent on us to listen to the guy in Paris talk about stuff that's not right, and we need to do that. That's where I'm coming from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were mentioning too that Miss Ashley's only been an atheist a little over a year, so she's really new to this.
Yes, I am.
And she's been podcasting almost since day one too, which is pretty awesome.
Matter of fact, I changed from a believer to a non-believer on the show.
Yeah.
Really? And you know how she did it? She read the Bible.
Oh dear. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a brave woman.
I'm learning that.
She's still reading it.
2 courses of woo-hoo for you. That's great.
I don't know about that.
Who was he leaned over during lunch and said, I'm a reasonably new atheist. I said, really, how long? He said, looked at his watch. He said, about 2 weeks. I said, are you fucking serious? That can't be. I said, well, yeah, man, for like 2 weeks. Well, where did you come from? Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh.
Man, are you screwed? You've got a whole world of hurt coming. He said, yeah, my mother sort of talks to me, my father, the rest of them not at all. Yeah, man, it's ugly. So, well, this herding cat party does work on occasion, so come and find yourself a whole bunch of new friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, you make kind of an interesting point saying that, like Deb and I and Ashley and Joseph, in the sense that what we did a year ago. Now we carry that mantle, and it kind of makes me wonder because I've been blogging since 2001. I've been blogging seriously, like what I do now, for about 7 years. And because of where I live, I think there might be 2 other atheists within 30 miles of me that I know of.
But you
For
see,
sure.
there's probably a whole whack of closet atheists that you just don't know about.
And it's not, as I said, not something we advertise where I am, but it's funny because my only means of activism is my blog, and I remember, let's see, how long have we been listening with AOA, Deb? About 2 years?
Me,
Give or take.
Maybe you. I've only been listening for not even one.
Okay, well, through that, Deb and I met Dave Foda, who is a contributor to the show on occasion, and he likes a lot of what I put out, and I've told Dave this is like his encouragement to write, and Deb, you've even commented on this yourself, actually gave me the impetus to continue writing, and bringing in his whole tools analogy, that we each have different tools, and the fact that it's the fence sitters that we're going after, not preaching to the choir, because sometimes I get very frustrated with some of the stuff I write about, because it's like I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall when it's like day in and day out I'm trying to debunk Sodom and Gomorrah. How many times can I do it? How many different ways?
Asking the question, it's a serious question for you, is why bother? Like, who does it matter to? It doesn't matter to us. So debunking Sodom and Gomorrah, arguing, for instance, the people here who do debates with religious folks, I always say to them, why? Why are you doing this? It's like, why don't you just get a psychiatrist's couch or some Prozac or some other kind of drug? Because, if you have delusions, you can be medicated. So if you hand them out in the front of the house the plus sign every Sunday morning, and folks will get better. Just give them Prozac or something, because it's delusion. The joke being one person who thinks really weird, wacko, mystical thoughts can get medicated, and 2 people can start a new religion.
Yeah, exactly.
So why are we having this argument? And the bottom line, and here's something I made in a speech a month or so ago, is that we have a responsibility to look out for these folks, because it's delusional. And you've got to think about, I worry particularly about older people, 60, 80 years old, the things that they're going through. If they finally realize I'm coming to the end of the line, and all the stuff I've told my children and I've based my life around, the legacy I'm leaving behind is bullshit. What? It's bullshit. And now you get to look at, you think, well, maybe there is no maker on the other side of the tunnel. Now what? Wow. I wouldn't want to have to face that. I really wouldn't. And I empathize with the people that are 70 or 80 years old, and they look down the line and they realize that their children and their grandchildren, it's not that they're disrespecting what they've learned. They're not disrespecting the legacy. What they're saying is, are you fucking serious? Come on, really? Like, it's not even a conversation. To your point, Beth, it's not a conversation. It's not a debate. You don't need to debunk this stuff. The guy did not walk on water. He did not tell people to wear veils so that we can beat them and sodomize them. He didn't do that. So, and it doesn't matter. So why are we having this conversation? Can you be good without God? It's a ridiculous point.
That's exactly it. That's the point I always take. You can do good without somebody else telling you what's good and bad.
Yes.
You can decide for yourself, and it all comes down to that.
Yes.
And,
yes. Go ahead.
My name's Joseph, by the way. I'm sorry.
Okay. It says JM here.
Yeah. But I'm completely with you on not discussing Bible content and all that, because it's just a prop anyways, because it all comes down to a group of self-elected people enlightened people
Okay.
just wanting everybody else to follow their rules, and that's it. And all of this scripture and the God stuff, it's just props to scare people into obeying them. So really, there's no point in discussing the.
And I feel for people that are amongst us, for instance, of our ideological bent, I feel for people that find it necessary to rationalize their ideology by debating somebody else. So your guy walks on water. You know, our Joseph has a mustache.
Yeah.
Come on. There's no value there. There's no value. The value is, you know, let's have Joseph say something so we can all learn something and participate with each other, as opposed to, okay, he's got a mustache and he walks on water. No, he doesn't. Come on. There's got to be. It's not a superficial. It's not a superficial assessment. It's a real assessment. What
It's
can
a
we do
pretty
together?
epic mustache, though.
True.
It's a pretty epic mustache.
It's an
But,
experiment.
It is.
But I think the point is that this kind of reality is increasing.
Well,
Well,
I'm one of. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just like you know, I haven't been doing this long either. Since what? How long, Beth? Well, yeah, Beth was my mommy for getting into into podcasting. Less than a year, but
Yeah.
for me, it was just really painful to see what religion is doing to people, and basically they're handicapping children.
Oh,
Because
Yes.
it's like, you know, like they're always asking us, well, why don't you just, you know, we're not hurting anybody. Well,
Oh,
actually,
fucking bullshit.
yes, you are.
Yeah.
Like
Sorry.
if you're driving down the road and you drive by a farm and there's a farmer herding a bunch of cattle that have been hobbled, you know, could barely walk. I mean, like, what do? You just drive on by and don't say anything? I mean, but basically, religion, it's telling kids that they're broken, telling them to doubt every single thing they do through their entire lives. They have no confidence in themselves, their own thought processes, and they're basically making children rely on them for each and every value judgment through their entire. They can't decide anything for themselves, and this is
there's
just not
so much on the same page. I get to get riled up here because when it comes to the children, I firmly believe that indoctrination of someone that's less than 18 years of age is child abuse.
I agree with you.
I wish that could be in front of the Supreme Court of both of our countries.
Yeah.
Maybe that to get the Supreme Court to consider what is it that you're doing to your child. Now, it does require a value statement from us to judge somebody else, to say you can't teach people creationism. That's just freaking wrong. And we'll have a lot of debate about that. But when it comes to children, come on, really?
Yeah.
To treat Joseph, you've hit the nail on the head, man. You can't do that. You just got to stop doing that. It's child abuse.
It's a bit extreme, but I have an analogy. It's that, like, religion is like amputating a leg at birth of someone and renting them a crutch for their entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
And the thing is, I mean, the psychological effects of it, even after you get out, and I'm speaking from experience, it can be devastating.
It took me decades.
Yeah, I'm still going through it, and I've been out for 22 years.
Mm.
I mean, it took me 10 years to deconvert.
It's the self-doubt that takes the longest.
Exactly. I mean, it was like, I mean, I was heavily indoctrinated. I mean, coming out of that, in fact, I did a post the other day about a book that came out, and it's basically a new biblical guide to hell for small children. I mean, I don't know if I'm
I think it belongs in Ashley's new plumbing.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And what it was, let's see. Oh, it's called The Cage, A Young Children's Guide to Biblical Teachings on Hell. And it's by C. Matthew I can't pronounce his last name.
It's pronounced asshole.
Okay, yeah, that'll work. And it's coming from the American Calvinist Reformed viewpoint.
Shit.
And one of my commenters on Twitter goes, "This is totally sickening. They raped the going to your whole indoctrination. They raped the minds of innocent children. How can this even be legal?" And partly joking and partly being serious, referring to the Supreme Court BS, I said, "You know that whole First Amendment thingy that the Reich likes to twist and skew to their liking, ignoring the obvious? That's how." I mean, and like you said, it would be really interesting to see.
So how do we get there? How do we get to the point where...
I had my only thinking would be one of the faith healing groups, one of the children's that survives, finally gets fed up and takes them to court. I mean, they're allowing it in the pedophile priest cases where they've extended the statute of limitations to, like, I think it's 48 years now. Or 30 years.
How do we cut this puppy in the... How do we stop this at the beginning?
Yeah, and I don't know because like here in the States, and I'm not familiar with if you have a First Amendment type law. I'm assuming you do.
No, we don't.
Oh, you don't.
Wow.
So you guys might have better luck. See, for challenging it under the First Amendment would be very difficult because we're going to run into the same freaking bullshit that we're running into even with Scoutist ruling that marriage is equal for all people now. I mean, the tricks that the Reich is pulling out to try to counter this, I
think we've gone beyond, Beth. I think we've gone beyond the stage where we need to have this debate with the religious folks. You know what? They're going away.
I'm one of these people that actually does debate people regularly, and I do see a value in it, and it's not anything to do with the people I would be debating, because I have no illusions that those people are highly unlikely to ever change their minds. But where I have seen the value, and I have actually seen this firsthand, is from people who are watching these exchanges, be it in a video setting or even if it's just posts on Twitter or Facebook. And I've been approached by people who have watched my exchanges with some of these nut jobs and said, wow, you know, I never thought of it that way, or wow, what you said really made sense. And like, I even had somebody, I'd been having an exchange with a Muslim fellow on Twitter, and actually a rather reasonable Muslim fellow, which you don't come across all that often, but this guy was. And a woman messaged me and was complimenting me on the conversation, and she's like, oh, you know, I'm considering becoming a Mormon. And I'm like, can I tell you a little bit about Mormons? And you know, and now she certainly was open to thinking about it. I never found out whether she went through with it or not, but at least she came to me and said, hey, I looked at what you were saying and I liked it and all of that, and I hope that even if she did get talked into taking the dunk with the missionaries, that she had enough sense to keep questioning things.
Yeah. Well, I think too, going back to your point of what can we do, and it's something I try to do with my blog by highlighting these insane stories, especially concerning the pedophile priests, is that we got to get these stories out there, because like even on the thread on this story concerning the book, there were people who were like, seriously, other denominations teach this stuff? And they're like, that's not right. I mean, everybody rails against the Westboro Baptist Church. Oh, they're not my type of Christians. My church doesn't believe that way. And just recently with the Scoutist ruling for the Oberfeld case, is that two major denominations in the States have now declared that they support same-sex marriage, and they will allow them in their churches. So bringing this stuff out, I think, keep hammering it home, especially in regards to the indoctrination of children. We just got to keep hammering it and hammering it and hammering it.
I agree with you, Beth. Yeah. There's other. I live somewhat vicariously through the radio when they put religious commercials on, because I often think if this was a marketing exercise of humanism brand and the religious brand. Every time the religious brand advertises, it helps us. It really does, because
I do agree with you.
But
Yeah.
Every morning we're waiting for a guy to get up after 3 days of dead. Really? You think people believe in this? No, they're not.
I like
and
that
everything is going to be fine.
marketing.
It is. I've written a speech on the subject. It is marketing, because think about this, and I'll just give you one of my teasers, is that if you were to invent an ideology that said you can have 2 very young, pretty wives, how many guys aren't going to sign up? Think about it. And you live in an agrarian society where you bust your balls 6 days a week, and some guy comes along and says, "Oh, by the way, you got to sit on your ass on the 7th day." Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. You mean I don't have to feed the animals? I don't have to, on the 7th day for a whole day? That's like 10% of my week. Wow, I got to sign up for your brand. Let me brush my teeth with your toothpaste. Thank you.
Well, and you know, Joseph Smith sure jumped on that bandwagon in a hurry.
And please. He made it up, did he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's just, the fact that people can believe this. I mean, I'm just like, it just blows my mind. That's how bad the situation has got, because he's demonstrably he's a con man. I mean,
he was convicted of fraud. He was convicted of fraud for duping people by reading treasure maps with the exact same technique of looking at rocks in a hat.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
It was documented in his own time, and people said, "Oh, but now it's Jesus." Like, really? Holy shit!
I read the book.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a holy shit.
I finished it via our friend's podcast, the My Book of Mormon podcast. I tried actually reading the physical book, and I couldn't do that, but thanks to David Michael, I have now listened to the entirety of the book, and wow, is that crazy.
I think that's got a good point, though. We have to keep hammering away, and the more the other brand advertises, the more our brand succeeds.
Yeah, I really like your analogy to the marketing. I never even thought, and I took marketing.
Can I tie that into LGBT issues? Because for me, you know, this anti-homosexual stance, for me, it's just it's witch-burning advertising.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you compare our laws to religion, you know, our laws are more moral than religion is. So religion is using their anti-homosexuality stance to set themselves apart from you know, everyday morals. Because if they didn't have this fight that they were fighting, they would be redundant. They would just
moral. They have to make up the moral position, give themselves something to fight for.
Yeah, and they've always got something. You know, they're always on the edge of every moral issue. Like at the time of segregation, you know, they were actually against segregation until they weren't.
The whole point is that people aren't believing it. People aren't buying it anymore. What comes to mind is the Pope in the airplane last year, where he said he was going to hit somebody's mother because if they disagreed, he was going to punch them. Like, really? I mean, isn't that a classic case of I'm saying one thing and I really mean another?
Passive aggressive.
I'm passive aggressive, and I'm going to kick you in the shins because you insulted my mother. Really?
I'm like, well, then your mother must be pretty much a weakling if she needs you to fight her battles for her.
Yeah, the man wears a dress. Give him a break.
Yeah. Like, I never understand that. You know, you have this fantastic, wonderful, powerful God, but you've got to take up his battles for him. Okay.
And I don't even understand somebody being affected by an insult like that. Insulting your mother. Just like,
like, I don't care.
Yeah. You know, I know who my mom is. Huh? She ain't like that. Woof.
But that's just it, because if you're insulted by stupidity like that, then you're giving credence to what it is that they're saying.
Exactly.
I agree.
So if you're insulted by what they said about your mother, then on some level you believe that your mother is actually like that,
Or
and
you
you
have
don't want
doubt.
anybody to know. Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
comes down to
exactly.
self-doubt or doubt or whatever. You're doubting me, so
Mhm.
I think we can stand on our own 2 feet.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
and
what they
that's
don't like, is that we can stand on our own 2 feet. And that's what they want to be able to manipulate and control.
Yeah.
yeah.
For
Not
me,
going to happen anymore.
No.
they always talk about no good without religion and all this shit. Well, for me, it just comes down to adaptation, like adapting to an
Yes.
environment,
Yes.
and basically what if we couldn't adapt to our environment in the past without religion, we wouldn't be here, today. So, like,
Yeah.
that's how humanity has made it so far.
And I
So,
think I agree. Yes, Joseph, you're going to have to move back to London so we can get closer, because
Oh.
I've thought the same thing about evolution. The whole altruistic argument about how does altruism work, the prisoner's dilemma, etc. Altruism works through evolution, because we wouldn't be here if we didn't do
Yeah.
things the right way. It might have taken a little bit longer, but we're here, and we're sentient, and we're making intelligent decisions because of evolution. We're going to make the decisions that'll keep us around for a little bit longer, and hopefully includes climate change and global warming. Those things we have to deal with now,
but
and we
that's
sure as
what
hell aren't going to do it from somebody up there.
that's what religion is taking away from us, the ability to decide for ourselves. And
Yeah.
if we can't decide for ourselves, so we got a huge population where somebody else is making the decision for us, we're not going to do anything about their decisions. Like, and this affects everything. This affects global warming. Because the other guys are going to decide, and they're going to decide in their own self-interest.
They are, and to go back to Beth's favorite new subject, the marketing program at the Vatican says our target market is an education level south of grade 6. So we're not going to focus our dollars, our market spend in downtown Toronto, or even in maybe South Carolina, but that's a joke. But we're going to spend our marketing money in places where people can't read, where people don't have a higher level of education. That's where we're going to spend our market. That's where we're going to focus our brand.
And that's actually what the Reich is doing. That's all the I don't like to delineate this on partisan lines, but the GOP primarily, that's what they're focusing on. That's why you're seeing cuts in K through 12 and beyond, like from Scott Walker and Bobby Jindal, or wait, Hayush Jindal. I'm sorry, but hey, man wants to deny his heritage, all the more power to him, but don't do it in the White House. But that's why they're cutting education. I mean, come on, Walker cuts education by $300 million to build a fucking sports stadium? Seriously? Okay, I'm an athlete. I'm a former athlete. Yeah, I love my athletics, but education's a little more important, especially when people are voting on idiots that think Jade Helm is real.
Yeah. And for those who may not have heard it before, Jade Helm is that crazy notion that Obama is going to invade Texas and take away all their guns and all of that fun stuff.
Alamo, yeah.
Alamo Part 2.
They lose.
This is part good.
L'Alamo Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
Part 2.
Les revisitations.
Oh man, craziness. Well, let's take a quick break, and I have this week's creation moment to play, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this. I actually managed to put the logical fallacy in with the creation moment, so there's all kinds of ridiculous dumbassery in that. So Let me just set that up, and if anybody needs a bio break or such, you may certainly go and do that.
I have to go outside, Miss Beth. Miss Beth.
I was about to say, unfortunately, I can't.
Oh. Oopsie, sorry about that, Miss Ashley. Don't think about, water or nothing.
You don't have a waterfall starting the creation moment, do you?
No.
Okay.
Thankfully. Thankfully for you, anyway. All right, let's get this thing started. Come on, computer. There we go.
Behold, the atheist's nightmare. A well-made banana is just the right shape for the human mouth. Chewy, easy to digest, and it's even curved toward the face to make the whole process so much easier.
I tend to believe it. Yeah. When we do that, when we understand that creation is the truth, then we understand where all of our doctrine comes from as well.
I just want to let you know that there actually is a book out there that actually tells us where matter came from. Bill, I do want to say that there is a book out there.
Next time you hear on television somebody say millions of years ago, what's the question we're going to ask them? Were you there? Were you there? Call them up on the telephone and say, excuse me, Mr. TV man, were you there? Only way we could know what happened in the past if someone was there to tell us. That's right, dinosaurs lived beside people. And of course you'll have an evolutionist who'll say, that's not right, dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. What do you ask them? Were you there?
Welcome to Creation Moments, a little slice of creation silliness that I get in my email every day, and I'd like to share it with you so that we can all get a taste of just how crazy creation shit is.
On this week's Creation Moment, Taylor's going to talk to us about protons in a nucleus. Something tells me this might be a tad beyond Taylor's pay grade.
Creation Moments and our friends of our ministry spend countless hours sharing their faith and the truth of biblical creation on social networking websites. One such creationist, Alan Dunkley, THD, recently ran into a person he described as a radical atheist. The atheist laid down a challenge with these words, quote, demonstrate a causal link to why your God needs to exist or does exist, unquote.
Okay, let's stop right there. In case you were wondering, a PhD is not a typo. That's a doctorate in theology. Here's his actual CV. I looked it up to make sure. He graduated from Citadel Bible College in Arkansas. He has a Master of Arts degree from Pensacola Christian College in Florida. Wonder if he knows Ken Hovind. He has a Doctor of Theology from Southwest Bible College and Seminary in Louisiana, and a Doctor of Philosophy from Reformation International Theological Seminary, also in Florida. So, of course, that makes Dr. Dunkley qualified to speak about physics, right? Oh, boy.
Dr. Dunkley was quick to respond with a question of his own. Can you explain to us how it is that the positively charged protons in the nucleus of an atom do not repel each other, since it is a fact that like charges do so? By the laws of physics, the atomic nucleus should not exist.
And here we go. Just ignore the question posed to you because, hey, that's not important, right? It's far more important that you get to ask your question first. Of course, it's not really debate unless you get your own way and do whatever it takes to make your position look viable. But let's look at Dunkley's question here. Why don't positively charged protons in a nucleus repel each other? He's implying that the very existence of the atom contradicts the laws of physics. It sure sounds like a legitimate question, especially if you're impressed by him using doctor in front of his name. Well, what he's doing here is employing the complex question fallacy. That is, asking a question that requires the answerer to assume information in the question to be true. The common example of this we probably all know is, when did you stop beating your wife? Which presupposes that the person answering at one time beat their wife. Here, Dunkley is asking why protons in a nucleus do not repel each other. Well, the problem with his question is that they do, in fact, repel each other. His question is a logical fallacy. He then uses this presupposed idea to, quote, prove that the existence of the atomic nucleus goes against the laws of physics, which it categorically does not. The protons in a nucleus do repel each other, but the atomic force of the entire nucleus is stronger than the force of the positively charged protons against each other, thus holding the nucleus together. I am definitely not a scientist, and even I can understand that. Whether Dunkley understands this or not is not clear, but either way, he's using intellectually dishonest tactics here. Someone with a doctorate in philosophy should know better.
He continued, this fact is consistent with Colossians 1:17 that says, quote, by him all things consist. Consist is from the Greek word which means held together. So here is a demonstrable empirical fact that God exists and that his existence is what holds the very fabric of matter together. So the existence of the material universe is dependent upon the existence of the Creator himself. All that needs to be done to destroy the universe is for God to literally let go of matter and poof, gone, just like the Bible says in 2 Peter 3:12. As you can see, Christians are using social networking websites to share their faith with people, some of whom live on the other side of the world. Does God want you to join them in declaring God's truth unto the ends of the earth?
Ah, I see. So atomic force equals Jesus. Well, gee, we should totally have known that. Ugh. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dunkley, but that is not, quote, empirical evidence for God or any such shit. It's evidence that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about and that you're shifty and slimy as the next apologist. Nice try, though. Here's a clue. There's no God holding anything together. It's called science, moron. But hey, keep using social media. You're just proving how dishonest and manipulative folks like this are. I, for one, am grateful for the stuff they post. It makes for great show material. Oh, and the good doctor has a Twitter. Perhaps you'd like to drop him a line and let him know how much you appreciate his information. At Dr. Alan Dunkley, spelled DrAllenDunkley. He's only tweeted twice in the last year, which doesn't seem to jive with his using social media to spread the good news bullshit, but hey, he's probably busy learning all that physics. The prayer this week: Heavenly Father, I thank you for the many Christians who are laboring in a mission field that is unique to our time in history. Yeah, thanks for all the self-righteous, fallacy-toting, insult-spewing, bigoted folks that show up on my Facebook and Twitter. I just love it when they post stupid shit, whine and wail when it gets countered, and then run away when I don't let them win. Free entertainment! Well, that's enough stupidity for now. Join us again for another creation moment.
Using social media.
Yep.
Well, I have an anecdotal story for you. I worked with a gentleman a couple of summers ago, and he was an evangelical, and he knew my position in the world. And he asked me one day, he said, you know what the rapture is? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. I understand it quite distinctly. And so he said, well, do you believe that, there's a chance I won't be here tomorrow at lunch? I said, no, not unless you sleep in. Well, no, it could happen one day. I fully expect one day just not to be here. I said, well, it has been said that it's going to happen before. And you're aware of that. Oh, yeah, I know it's been said many times, but we couldn't do it before. I said, well, why is that? He said, satellites. Pardon? What? It's satellites. We didn't have satellites. So in the previous rapture predictions, we couldn't communicate with the entire world at the same time because we didn't have satellites. I said, okay, you can go to a spaceship instantly with all your buddies and I'm going to be left behind, but you can't do this because you don't have a frickin' satellite. And does the satellite speak every language in the world all at the same time? Well, obviously. Wow. Okay. Think that, buddy. Maybe next time it'll happen because we have satellites.
Well, for the last 15, we've had satellites.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point.
I mean, Harold Camping was, what, was that 2012?
2012, well, 2011, 2012, he's also, I think he had 3 altogether, just in the last 20
Yeah.
years since
Maybe he didn't own a satellite. Maybe he needed to own it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well then, so what, Donald Trump is ushering in the rapture? Is that going to be it?
Oh, maybe. Maybe everybody's going to get a new hairdo.
I was going to say, if we have to wear hair like him, I want off the planet too.
Maybe you can go and pick the satellite.
So
if I didn't have mine tied back, I would have hair like him, although more of it.
Well, but you don't have billions of dollars to go and get someone to fix it for you either.
Can you buy a toupee or something?
Okay, so I saw Penn Jillette speak last year, and he was on The Apprentice, and he swore that is in fact Donald Trump's real hair.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they just I saw a posting on this. They did some sort of complicated thing where you have to grow it long, and then comb it forward, and then comb it back, and comb it all in.
They're going to make it into a mustache.
Oh, now see, I can do that easily.
Oh, good.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Whee!
There, my version of Donald Trump.
I'm thinking you're more like Donald or Joseph Smith.
I didn't have a sex change.
Well, no, but he did wear like the ponytail of the period, I think, kind of deal.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, I'm going to play businessman here. Can we chat about the officiant program?
We sure can. We're getting there. And
Okay.
Before we get into it, though, I just wanted to say Ashley got some good news. She can flush her toilet again.
Oh, the dog is going to be happy.
Oh, they have cats, but they're going to be happy for sure.
Oh yeah, it's like Peter ran for the toilet.
and just quickly, I wanted to say hello to Tech and Katie who are watching and said something in the Q&A there. So hello, folks, and yes, Tech, Amish Wolverine was for you. So enjoy. So yes, Eric, please do tell us about the Officiant program that's sponsored from Humanist Canada.
I'd love to. The Officiant program is primarily weddings. We do purport to do funerals and baby namings, etc. But probably 95% or more of what we do is weddings. We did about just under 600 weddings last year here in Ontario. That's a big number. But the most important part is that it's not an effort to proselytize. As a matter of fact, the laws of Ontario would allow us to proselytize if we wanted to, but we don't. But what it does include is at the very beginning of the ceremony, you're obligated by law to state where you get your license from and who sanctioned it, and in this case, Canada. So what we do have to, we're obligated to say at the beginning of every ceremony is, I'm an officiant licensed by the province of Ontario and coming from Humanist Canada. Last year, we had over 37,500 people attend weddings in Ontario that heard those words. That I'm an officiant with Humanist Canada, absolutely tremendously successful. But I'll get off that. That's 60 seconds of advertising and branding. But what I really wanted to relate it to is the subject of an exponential participation with our humanists. We've seen the metrics are that I was, I think, number 27 of the Humanist Canada officiates 3 years ago, and now we have 41. That's a 50% increase, but we have, and I think a certain amount of this has to do with the United States, focused with the Supreme Court decision 2 weeks ago. We've seen a significant uptick in the number of people who want to be officiants. And so I'll take it any way I can get it in terms of people do this for a reason, because they're respectful of people and they want people to stand on their own 2 feet. They don't want to be preached at and told, love, honor, cherish, and obey. That kind of stuff is long gone. What people want today is to respect each other, to respect the kind of ceremony that they want. I chatted with a gentleman this afternoon, and he said, I don't think we want a religious service, because we really don't, we're not one way or the other. I said, well, and I explained what a humanist ceremony was, about how he and his partner could develop their own ceremony and talk to each other instead of some guy standing at the front of the service. The whole point, I guess, for us is this is an exponential increase again with the rate of participation with humanism. It's a tremendous.
That's wonderful.
That's important.
Is successful, but it should be. As Joseph said, it's about respecting each other. It's not about telling people what to do. Yes, that we all have laws in our society that we need to adhere to, but you know what? The Supreme Court of the United States has just agreed that the law should be. Wow, isn't that great? So that's my whole little speech about humanist officiants. Significant increase in the number of people who want to do it. I had a lady today call me or email me from Scotland. Hey, listen, you guys in Canada are doing great stuff, and mine has to be in French and English, so can you tell me how to do it? Well, of course we can. From Scotland. Awesome. It's absolutely incredible. So I think in following up on the American Supreme Court decision, we types that are sitting around this computer tonight need to be ready to participate people who want to get married as officiants for them.
You're providing an alternative. That's really important.
And that's all it is, Joseph, really, and it's a respectful alternative. Yes, that's what it is. Simple as that.
So if someone, say, like me, wanted to get involved in the officiant program, how would one do that?
I can tell you exactly because I happen to be the president guy. It's info@humanistcanada.ca. Simple as that. Send a note. Say, hi, I would like to find out. What do I do? Simple as that. Info@humanistcanada.ca. That's all you got to do.
And so what's kind of involved in it, though? Like
I can tell you because I wrote it down today officially for our training team.
Awesome.
You apply. You need to be, in our case, you need to be a member of Humanist Canada. That's a shameful way to get membership, but it works. Branding. It's all about branding, right, Beth? We're going to brand this puppy to death. Okay. You have to be a Humanist Canada member. You send the information, so what do I have to do? You fill out an application. You have to have some sort of participation with humanism. It's not usually a revelation or an epiphany that says, hey, all of a sudden I'm no longer a religious person and I want to perform non-religious weddings. You will have some involvement with humanism, and indeed, I like the cat. The intent is to not proselytize, but to advance humanism. Right. And it can be as simple as standing in front of 100 people in a barnyard somewhere and doing a wedding. Well, guess what just happened? 100 people just heard the words, I'm a humanist officiant with licensed by the province, yada yada. So that's a tremendous. So you have to have some commitment to humanism. You go to a training seminar, some of which is done by webinar, the balance of which is done in a one-day sort of in-person thing. It's not overly expensive. And then you do get a phone interview, usually with two people, that interview you and ask a prescribed set of questions. Nothing overly arduous, mostly around why you would rather have a humanist approach to the world than a non-humanist approach.
So they're not going to want to know what the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow is?
I'm thinking not.
Okay, good.
And then you do go to training, so you learn the technical things about how to file forms and how to look after people and how to craft a ceremony. But those things are technical and can be easily taught anyway. Once that's done, Humanist Canada has to make a decision whether or not you can be a humanist officiant. Usually, yes, if we've done our screening. And then we send it off and register it. Not a decision by the province of Ontario. They're listening to us, and we're putting someone forth, and then they send you the license. Once you've got the license, then you get listed on our website. We teach you how to advertise, how to find some people, and then you do once a year have to go to a conference, which is, again, another day's worth of professional development for people, and to learn the latest and greatest stuff about humanist wedding ceremony.
That sounds awesome.
It's simple. It really is. It's about people.
Yeah.
And it's,
I mean, what better way to be a humanist than to celebrate, love and commitment with your fellow humans,
Yes, and I can give you an example that I used on Saturday. I talked to a couple at Tim Hortons, actually, about their ceremony coming up in a few weeks. And we were crafting the words, the verbiage. And one of the things I told them is that a humanist ceremony, when people come to the front of the venue, not the church, when they come to the front of the venue, I insist that they don't look at me. It's not about me. Usually in a religious service, you go to the front, sometimes you get on your knees, and you shut up and listen to the man with the big book. At a humanist ceremony, you know what? Look at each other. It's not about me. I'm going to read the words for the most part, because couples are usually a little bit nervous. So I'm going to be the guy at the front, the booming voice, to read the stuff. But it's about respect for you. So look at each other and enjoy the day, enjoy each other, because that's what it's all about. That physical thing, and the eyes light up. People say, "Wow, that's so cool." And I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to listen to me. You don't have to look at me. That's for dang sure. Look at each other and enjoy the day. That's what it's all about.
You could wear a pointy hat that said, "It's not about me, it's you. Now look over there."
Well, actually, yeah, maybe. The ceremony that I went to do on Saturday, it's a shoes optional service because it's a surprise wedding at a beach. Nobody knows there's going to be a service. And they said to me, because I always ask, is there a specific, attire that you would prefer? You want me to wear a pink shirt or a blue shirt? Said, well, as long as you're not wearing shoes. No, why? Well, because it's on a beach. Oh, cool. Great, I'll roll up my pant leg. What's that?
Flip-flops.
I will flip-flops. Perfect.
Yeah, that's Miss Ashley's kind of wedding.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you bet. If we ever decide to get married, I'm getting married in flip-flops.
All right.
I think you should. I think you should. One of the vows that I did recently, the gentleman did the vows, and he agreed to control his Nike foot fetish.
Wow.
Apparently he bought too many Nike shoes. So he said he promised in his vows to control his Nike foot fetish. Good for him.
Okay. Arno doesn't need to know that that's an option.
So that's all I wanted to comment about the Officiant program. It's coming around the world in a hurry.
No, I think that's wonderful. And it's so good for people to have an alternative, as Joseph said. I was saying earlier, when I got married the first time, we were fortunate to find a service that would provide. They were retired clergy, but they were willing to do whatever service that you had asked for. And so I was able to say, look, I want something that has no God in it at all. And that was fine, but that wasn't...
It's kind of painful to roll your eyes during your own wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important, too. I mean, the religious leaders down here that are anti-LGBT specifically are afraid that the Supreme Court's going to make churches who don't want to marry force them to marry. Well, we have an option. We don't have to force.
Yep.
I mean, we always have the option of using the clerk's office. I mean, you can get married in a civil service. You don't have to use a religious service, but when we have the options out there, if we don't want to go to a church, which I really don't understand why anybody would, that's LGBT anyways, but that's a whole other story. But so the argument that we're going to force our quote beliefs on a church is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like the General Lee flag thing you were talking about earlier. You can have one tattooed on your ass if you like. I just don't have to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same with your wedding. If you want to go to a house with a plus sign on the roof and kneel down and do all sorts of weird things, as long as it's you go ahead and you make that decision, you go ahead.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, don't make everybody else do it. And particularly don't make the LGBTQ community do it. You cannot force that. That's disrespectful and totally unacceptable.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that people don't quite remember or understand, because maybe they haven't looked at a lot of history, but marriage is not traditionally a religious institution, and where people get that idea. Yeah, marriage began as a business contract between families, and that's what it
still
was.
is.
Well,
it is. But the religion co-opted it in a way to better control the masses.
And why did they do that? Sure, yes, they hijacked it because it was better branding. Absolutely.
And because the thing is, you cannot have a religious ceremony without a license from the government. So it is still a it's still a contract. It still falls under contract law. You can't go to some minister and say, "Hey, marry me." No, that wouldn't be a legal marriage.
Okay. You have to have a license.
Yeah, you have to have a license.
That's also a function of our history. It's a function of our democracy. Our forefathers made that decision that you had to have a license to be able to do that. And so that's still the case. The constitutionality in this country hasn't changed. It's going to stay the same. The difference is you don't got to go find a house with a plus sign on the roof to do it anymore. Eric and Deborah will do it for you.
Yeah.
Humanist Canada.ca.
I don't know if you know Quora or not, but I had an interlocution with a pastor on there. It's a place where you can ask questions and answers. And the pastor himself, he wasn't aware that marriage wasn't even a Christian institution until the 12th century. He basically accused me of lying, but the Christians wouldn't even admit to marriage until, I think it was the Council of Verona. It was around, in the 12th century. It wasn't even a sacrament then. And and the marriage could be anywhere, done by anybody, and it was basically a family, like Beth said, it was a family affair or business affair or whatever.
It was basically the transfer of wealth between families, and it actually traces back to Canaanite society pre Judaism. Actually, I think if I remember correctly, it's in the Code of Hammurabi as well. The sacrament, not the sacrament, but the ceremony, the contract part of it. They actually have cuneiform tablets with, okay, you take my daughter, I'll give you X amount of oxen. You know, I mean, predated. I couldn't think of the damn word.
If you go even farther back than Sumerian text, if you go even farther back, there's an evolutionary reason why breeding amongst us human types had to be controlled, or there were so many power things going on, and I'm talking now before religion. So more than 10,000 years ago, there's an evolutionary reason why there was a formality why you didn't marry your sister or your mother, or why that propagation happened in our species in a controlled way. There had to be certain taboos.
It was science.
Genetic, yes, thank you, Joseph.
Yeah.
There's a science that says you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be propagating with your mother or your sister or your whatever. But the point is that tends to become a controlled dynamic, that it's necessary. And religion, as you said, is...
and there was always somebody in the clan who detained this type of knowledge, and it would be the clan wise men or whatever, the shaman or the village, and this is exactly who religion wanted to burn. In later years, they labeled them witches.
Yep. Sure did.
Yeah. Good point. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I was just looking for a meme that I found yesterday. Well, I've seen it a bunch of times, but it's that whole, you want to go back to traditional biblical marriage? Well, would that be with your your concubines or your dead brother's wife, or you know, how many
rape
yeah,
victim.
the rape
Your
victim. Yep.
Your brother's wife.
And don't forget to pay off dad.
Yeah, for 50
Well,
shekels.
there's that other one, that the fact that you can't sell your daughter for 3 goats and 50 shekels or whatever means you've already redefined marriage.
Well, and even Ruth Bader Ginsburg in her one opinion basically said that they were saying that we're redefining marriage. Well, marriage has already been redefined, even prior to, or even just as recently as interracial marriage, because they biblically did not. They said that interracial marriage wasn't allowed. So marriage has been redefined hundreds of times throughout history.
There you go. I put it up for you guys.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So we've got, you know, your man and woman, okay, then we've got man plus wives, plural, plus concubines, and then we've got man plus woman's property, so her slave, and then we've got man plus woman, and then we've got man plus brother's widow, and so there's like a skeleton in there, and then we've got rapist and his victim, which was always my favorite. And then we've got the male soldier and the prisoner of war female. Oh, and then, you know, 2 slaves could probably get married. So,
well,
yeah.
I think it's funny, though, that they actually put the man plus woman, the, quote, nuclear family, based on Genesis 2:24, because if you actually read that verse, it's not... Joseph is not ecstatic about having a wife. He's ecstatic by having a companion.
Yeah.
He actually
kept
That's true.
Marriage is not even mentioned in the Bible as traditional marriage. There is no mention, none whatsoever. Even if you, I mean, the Matthew verse that the Reich likes to quote, is actually talking about divorce. It is not talking about a standard man-woman marriage. It's talking about, you know, getting divorced. And saying that Christ is referring back to Genesis 2:24 is wrong. Wrong just for the simple fact it's not even talking about marriage to begin with. It's talking about companionship.
And I think one of the only times I can remember a verse actually referencing marriage directly was when Paul says, "Don't get married."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because celibacy was the Christian how do you say, kingpin center point?
Paul did not like women, period. So he was all like, "Ew, women, icky, don't marry one."
And if you remember, if you're following Paul, you're not following Christ. You're following Paulianity.
Yes.
Because if you're following Christ, then you are Jewish. Christians did not appear in the New Testament until after Christ died. In Acts, I think it's chapter 9, if I remember correctly. But that's the first time that the term Christian is ever used. And starting with Acts is when Paul's writing started. So if you're saying you're a Christian, then you are Jewish, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved it when you used that on Ken's friend a few months ago. I thought he was going to implode.
Yeah.
Even Paul hijacked. Paul hijacked. Basically, it was basically a Jewish sect that did believe that Jesus was the real Messiah. Yeah. And he just basically, because he himself was kicked out of the Jewish leadership, so he wanted to stay a leader, so basically he just took over the sect and started preaching to the choir their already existing beliefs.
Well, and what's fun, if you want to even take it deeper, is that if you compare Paul's teachings to Christ's teachings, they are diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know,
I think
weird
Paul's
shit.
original intention was purely political, because I think his original
totally.
intention was to wean this following from their original beliefs.
Well, yeah, because
Into
if
his
you
own
if you
following
if you look at it, it's claimed that he was anti-Christian and persecuted Christians and all of that. Well, if you're really that against it, what better way to kind of get rid of what you don't like than by infiltrating it and turning it into something that you do like?
Yeah, that's where the resurrection story came from. Because at first he was making this promise, and like his followers were still subscribing to this belief that Jesus would come back. So, like, you know, after he got tired of waiting, just to appease them, he came up with this part of the story. That's probably what happened.
So no, as an LGBT community member, I sure as hell wouldn't want to get married under all that bullshit.
No.
No way. That's why
I like, well, Tech actually had a good comment here. He said, as an atheist, I can still appreciate the beauty that goes into the architectural design of some of these very old churches, but married in one with a medieval torture device hanging on the wall, not a chance.
Exactly, and I think that's why the officiant program is really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Taking it back to Eric's little spiel.
Absolutely. It's about respecting people. And I'll come and marry you if you like.
I'm single and I'm staying there.
Me too.
I'm liking being single after 35 years of not being.
I was kind of meaning that I would marry you if you were going to marry somebody else, but we can have fun.
Can I marry myself?
I don't think that's no. I'll have to take that to the Supreme Court.
Not even in.
As soon as I said that, I was like.
Only when the lights are turned out.
And just for the record, Eric, you've never been asked to marry someone to their dog, have you?
No, I'm afraid not. No.
Or their horse.
Or
and
their.
It's interesting because 12 years ago when we first started this, the perception was that it was a gay thing. Canada or Ontario legalized same-sex marriage quite some time ago, and the perception often is, well, you just do gay and queer weddings. Is that right? We do, but you know what? It's probably less than 10%, maybe even less than 5%. In my neighborhood out here in rural Ontario, it's like 0%. So yeah, it's part of what we do, but it's really not that big. Demographically, no, not particularly. So it's everybody.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing, because it is everybody. It isn't just LGBT, isn't just atheist. I mean, you can be two believers who just, like nuns.
Yep. That's a good point, Beth. Yeah.
They don't want the bullshit.
Yeah. And I imagine it would be very useful for mixed faith families too, where you know what, I don't want to put up with the fact that we're Catholic and they're Jewish. Like we're just going to cut it all out and do our own thing.
What I found here is that a lot of marriages that I do in my neighborhood, our families are a family already. So they're couples who have a child or four. Right. And now, you know what, we've been together for 15 years. And now we've got 4 kids, 2 of his and 1 of mine and 1 from somewhere else. And we need to blend. We need to pull people together. We want to be a family. And part of our society says we need to have a marriage. So go ahead, have a marriage, get married. And now you got a family. And that's a formal part of our history.
It's the Brady Bunch.
Do they all have the same name? Absolutely. So that blending of the family is a very common reason for people to have a non-religious. And what does that tell you? If they come to a humanist to have their wedding because the churches don't want them to be recognized as a family, I find that a little offensive.
Yeah,
I think
it is. That's a little offensive.
A family should be a unit. It shouldn't be a clan. I think getting rid of this clan mentality is a big part of it.
Yeah. Because a family should be whatever configuration works for the people that are living that way, like,
sure.
And it's funny, our friend Callie, right, made a post the other day because, of course, she's very much in support of the marriage equality, but she said, I'm just going to come out and say it, that yes, part of accepting marriage equality could very well mean accepting things like polygamous marriage, and I'm okay with that, and I am too. Like, as long as they're consenting adults, who the hell cares what kind of configuration of people makes a family?
As soon as you remove this following the rules clan mentality and you start judging people by what they do with you in relation to you, then all of this disappears. It doesn't matter. It becomes
and yes, it does. But I go back to the evolutionary concept of the fact that what you've just described works and is respectful. But if what you described is so egregious from a society, guess what? It's probably going to burn out anyway. It's not going to be successful. It's not going to be propagating our species for a long, long time. If we all married our dogs, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Although I read
And if you married your dog, you'd have to get married every 5 to 10 years anyway, because...
I'm a 5-time widower.
You said widower. I was going to say, like Donald Trump, but he's not a widower. He's just
No, he's a divorcer. Or divorcee.
Yeah. Who thinks traditional marriage should be the law of the land, even though he's been divorced?
Yeah, present those Christian values,
Yeah, well, and that was actually something else that Tech had said here. Speaking of weddings, if Christian clerks on the various states refuse to dish out gay marriage certificates, how many Christian divorce papers have they also refused? Yeah, and I'm thinking that would be a big fat 0.
I would really like to see numbers on that. I haven't seen any yet, but I mean between religious families and non-religious families, the comparison between divorce rates, between even wife abuse and things like that.
It's about 70-30. 70% religious and 30% secular. I don't know.
They tend to cheat a lot more than non-religious people as well.
Yeah, that's why I've never seen reliable numbers on this.
Yeah.
I have a study somewhere in my mess. I'll have to see if I can dig it up. There's a couple... I don't know how scientific they are, but I'd have to look at them again.
And the other one I saw last month, where Joseph was the highest religious sect of pornography use. I'll give you a hint. It's in Salt Lake, Utah.
Yeah. Oh, I know that one.
Absolutely. Don't be hypocritical.
Would be our friends, the Mormons, who are not even allowed to masturbate, but boy, can they consume some porn.
Our friend Oscar Wilde, who said once that the churches and brothels are interdependent.
Yes. Well, my favorite historical pope was Alexander VI, who was better known as Rodrigo Borgia, who was one of the biggest libertines to ever hit the Renaissance. That guy, he could give the Marquis de Sade a run for his money.
And, 2 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yeah, and he had, 3 children that he acknowledged. Like, he openly said, this woman is my concubine, and these are my children, and they have my name, and all of that. That was his main original mistress. He had like a bazillion of them, but he had 2 that he kept kind of like a wife. So the one that had his children, and then there was another one. I think she might have had 1 child as well, but he had like a second mistress that he had around. But yeah, that guy was known for parties with like naked chicks and lap dancing and all kinds of.
What period was this?
1500s, early 1500s, late.
Okay, because until the 12th century, the Vatican had its own brothel. So
Yeah, no, Rodrigo was after that, and so a lot of what he did was sort of not legal within the church, but everybody kind of looked the other way and went, well, it's the Pope, you know.
Yeah. And about these Vatican councils, you know, this was all about, and actually when they concocted the Bible, it's about the 9th century, this was all just a PR reworking, that's all. That's what it was all about.
Oh, totally.
More branding.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The new Pepsi.
No, it's like new Coke. Kinda.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Fail.
wait, we have to have Coke Classic now. Oh, I remember new Coke. It wasn't that bad. I didn't think. But,
I don't
you
know.
know.
But that was brilliant, by the way, because they made everybody go back to the old brand. So.
Yep. Yes, it was. Well, folks, we're starting to get near the end here, so we'll make the rounds, and I know it's
like
going to be
10
time for.
minutes.
I know. We'll give everybody a chance to plug their stuff. So I know. Well, Joseph, you can go first because you never have anything to plug. But do you have any closing remarks?
Oh, that sounded horrible.
Yep.
We love you, Joseph. Really, we do.
What happened? Did I freeze in some sort of weird
You
position?
froze. No, he missed what I said. I said, Joseph, you go first because you never have anything to plug. So.
Yeah, I don't. So just.
But do you have any
whatever
closing?
I'm doing, I'll plug that. Oh,
Okay.
and of course, yeah, Shujin's gonna get all pissed off with me. Yeah, Shujin, the holy crap, and
Holy crap, the vlogcast.
yeah, Sunday mornings for me, and be Saturday nights at what, midnight there? What time
Well,
is
that's
it?
still Sunday morning. Sunday
Yeah.
morning at 12:05.
Yeah.
Holy crap, the vlogcast. You can catch it on his YouTube channel. So, hello, Shujin.
Hello, Shujin.
And Tech, who we often read his posts as one of our panelists there too. So, hello, Tech. And Tech's been on the show here once too. So, yay. Awesome. So, well, thanks for getting up at 3:30 in the morning to tell us about Ray Comfort and his stupidity. We
Well, thanks
appreciate
for
it.
inviting me. That was fun.
You're welcome, definitely. So, Miss Ashley, besides now having water, you got some stuff to plug. Not the drain. Not the drain, obviously.
Okay, you have to stop with the plug jokes.
Oh, you should hear what Shujin says to me. He leaves me till the end because I have all the shows, and he says, "Okay, plug all the things." He says it every week.
Yeah.
Oh my
The
goodness.
Deborah, the plug moment.
Well, yeah, because I have more shows than everybody else.
Just poking.
I know.
One day I'll grow up and be just like Deborah. Well, I can be found at No Religion Required. We do a live podcast every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Spreaker. If you'd like to send me an email, you can do so at noreligionrequired@gmail.com. And we can also be found at noreligionrequired.com.
And you are at Miss Ashley.
Oh, yes, my Twitter. Look, Bobby wanted me to make sure that I did the live show last time because I forgot it. And look, I forgot the Twitter.
Uh-oh.
So,
we're going to have to get you to write out a list or something.
Yes, because he normally does all this. I can also, you can follow me on Twitter at Miss_Ashley NRR.
See, now you can tell Bobby that when he complains that you just show up and he does all the work, you can say, well, that's just on our show.
Like, yeah, I can't just show up on Deborah's show.
No, afraid not. Afraid not. Beth, where can we find you?
Easiest way is Twitter. I'm known as Dune9998. Connects to my blog, and it also now connects to Facebook. On Blogger, it is Havoc and Chaos. And my Facebook is Beth Hambridge. Well, Beth A. Hambridge, because I am under Beth Hambridge as well, but I don't use that one. But easiest way, Twitter. You'll find me.
Awesome. And Eric, please tell us all about the wonderful things that you do and we can find you.
Well, we're just way too inordinately proud of our website. So the easiest way to find us is through humanistcanada.ca. And you can get Humanist Canada Facebook, Humanist Canada on Twitter. That's pretty much it. Humanistcanada.ca. It's got join and donate buttons at the top. I strongly suggest people join and donate. But go to the Facebook page, because we do that at least once a day. There's something in there that's of interest. Sometimes social, sometimes earth-shattering, but there's interesting stuff in there. It's
I usually see several posts a day go by my feed. So
yeah, and it's not intrusive. Same with our membership. It's not somebody that's going to bug you every day for branding purposes. And thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming, and of course, and where are you going to be in about 4 weeks?
August 22nd, I'm going to be in Kitchener, having a martini with you at the non-conference conference.
That's right.
Welcome. Thank you, Spencer Lucas, for inviting us, and I'll be there on a panel chatting about blasphemy laws in Canada.
Ooh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's another impassioned speech. Joseph, you should come.
That's going to be an awesome discussion.
I'll
What's that, Joseph?
be coming back to Canada soon, so...
Are you? You didn't tell me.
Remember I was supposed to be coming last March and I couldn't.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm going to try for autumn.
Wow, that'd be wonderful.
Well, awesome, because then we can all hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we need to do that. Yay.
I would recommend people go to the non-conference conference in Kitchener, August 21st, 2nd.
Awesome. Well, as I like to say, if you can get your ass to Kitchener on August 22nd, get your ass to Kitchener on August 22nd, because it's going to be awesome. And Eric is one of the speakers, of course. He's going to be participating in that panel on blasphemy laws, which is going to be amazing. And we've already talked to Christine Shelska and Armin Navabi, and we will be talking to more folks from the non-conference. I had a busy session today with Spencer, but we are definitely coming up is going to be Stephanie Guttormson from the Richard Dawkins Foundation is going to be on the show, I believe, in 3 weeks. And there's going to be some other folks that I will talk to everyone about soon. But next week, Tucker, the atheist in the trailer park, it's going to be a trailer park extravaganza next week. So we're taking a break from the all Canuck lineup for a week, and Spencer's going to join us from Tennessee, and Tucker's going to join us from Tennessee. I know. And hopefully his co-host, the fabulous feline Professor Fuzznuts, should be with him as well, because he can't do a show without the good Professor Fuzznuts. I've done his show. I know it cannot be done. Fuzznuts must be there. So that's going to be next week. And of course, there's always My Secular Savior, mysecularsavior.com. As I say, we're hoping to have something put together soon. I'll keep you posted on that. It's just been a really busy summer for both Kai and I, so we apologize for that, but we'll get something together soon, because he just got back from Imagine a Religion, and now he's on vacation out in California. So he was by Alcatraz, I noticed, and I'm like, what, they let you off the island? What's wrong with these people? So yeah, and I am involved in a forthcoming podcast, and I can actually talk a little bit about this now because we have a Facebook page up and we are posting teasers. It's called the Atheist Apocalypse Podcast, and we are looking to have episode out in August. Not sure exactly what part of August, but it's in post-production now. So it's an ensemble cast. I think you're really going to like it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's not your typical atheist podcast, but there's going to be all kinds of fun stuff in there. So go find our page, the Atheist Apocalypse Podcast for those left behind, and like us, and you're going to get to see lots of fun and cool teasers and leading up until we release episode 1, which hopefully will be soon. And as I say, of course, there is get yourself to the non-conference, because you can meet and hang out with Eric and me, and hopefully Beth, if she can get her hiney up here and all of that. It's going to be fun. And also, if you enjoy what we do and you want to maybe support us, don't forget that we do have a Patreon. We have Atheists on Air Beyond the Trailer Park, patreon.com/Beyond the Trailer Park. We'd love to have some more support there, because Beth and I both have some shitty equipment and we'd love to get some more. So, especially Beth. Beth needs her own internet, for sure.
You need more shitty equipment?
Something like that. Well, next time, see, those of you who may not know, Joseph is my sound engineer, so if the next time he has to make things work, then, I might be able to buy him a beer or something when he gets here, because, that'd be good, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Brewski. Yay! Okay, well, as I say, next week, join us for Tucker and the Atheist in the Trailer Park, the Trailer Park Extravaganza, featuring Professor Fuzznut, the awesome feline. And we will see everyone next week. And as always, I will close out the show with our good friend Dave Foda's Humanist Creed as soon as I can get it all to load, because that would be good. See why I need a better computer. I really do.
You have too much shit.
Because it's telling me I have poor system performance. I have nothing open that I don't need, so there.
Okay, alright.
Says my sound engineer.
Says the geek.
It's thinking. Yeah. Come on. Here we go.
I know the truth and power of reason and of rational thinking, and I will use them to my advantage. I know the truth and power of educating myself and of expanding my intellectual boundaries, and I will educate myself. I know the truth and power of vanquishing ignorance, and I will do so whenever the opportunity presents itself. I know the truth and power of morality without supervision, and of true and accurate righteousness. I know the truth and power of obliterating tyranny, be it intellectual, emotional, or philosophical, and will work toward that goal whenever and however possible. I know the truth and power of human ingenuity. I know the truth and power of human compassion, and I will be mindful of the welfare of others. I know the truth and power of equality and fairness for all living things. I know the truth and power of the importance of our families, our friends, and our fellow men and women. I know the truth and power of human stewardship of our lands, our waters, and our skies, and I will try to act to preserve our environment. I know the truth and power of the sciences of mathematics, physics, and of chemistry, and of the important role of these disciplines in understanding the workings of this cosmos. I know the truth and power of the rejection of all notions or beliefs that reside in the supernatural or the superstitious, and of those notions or beliefs that we are not supposed to be able to explain. and I know that these rejections are necessary for humankind's survival. I am a human being with a free mind, liberated from irrational influence and from unreasonable dogma.